Good morning or afternoon or whatever time you're watching this. Welcome back for episode 49 of our Lessons in Music History. This is our 10th episode of this year. So far this year, we've been focusing on that sort of transition between the classical and romantic period, mainly, only talking about sort of Beethoven within that time. That lasted us 2 episodes. Our next 2 episodes were in general about the Romantic era. The first part more about art and society in general, and the second one more about the musical elements of Romantic music. Over the last 5 episodes, we've been looking at early Romantic music. So we've been looking at the lead and song cycles and composers like the two Schumanns, Robert and Clara. We talked about the Mendelssohns. We talked about Berlioz and Chopin and Liszt and all these amazing composers. Today, we embark on an exciting journey into the enchanting world of opera, and this should last us about the next 3 weeks. We'll be exploring two remarkable composers and their groundbreaking works that continue to captivate audiences worldwide. Our first stop is going to take us to the lyrical genius of Giuseppe Verdi, an Italian composer who left an indelible mark on the operatic landscape. Verdi's opera Rigoletto is a dramatic masterpiece that unfolds in the 16th century court of Mantua, filled with intense emotion and unforgettable melodies. Rigoletto revolves around the hunchback court jester, Rigoletto, whose deep hatred for the immoral duke drives the plot. Yet, amidst the cynicism, Rigoletto's love for his daughter, Gilda, adds a contrasting layer of emotions. This gripping storyline, accompanied by Verdi's unforgettable music, has made Rigoletto one of the most frequently performed operas in history. One of the most famous moments in Rigoletto is the Duke's aria, La Donna è mobile. This iconic melody showcases the Duke's character and his views on the fickleness of women. Its repetitive and insistent motive adds a compelling energy that resonates with audiences of all ages. Verdi's legacy as a composer and his impact on Italian opera cannot be overstated. Throughout his career, he skillfully intertwined music and drama, using his works as a medium to express his support for the Italian liberation movement. From early patriotic themes to his later, more nuanced operas, Verdi's compositions continue to touch the hearts of listeners worldwide. Now, let's turn our attention to another revolutionary composer later on, Wagner. That won't be today. Known for his music dramas, Wagner's works embodied the Romantic movement's emphasis on emotional depth and the power of music. One of Wagner's remarkable works is Tristan and Isolde, a mesmerizing tale that delves into the all-encompassing force of love. It transcends societal boundaries and even death itself, captivating audiences with its emotionally charged storyline and exquisite melodies. So now brace yourself for a monumental journey as we explore the Ring Cycle, a 4-part music drama of epic proportions, drawing inspiration from Germanic and Norse legends. Wagner weaves a tale of moral decline, greed, and the corrupting influence of power. In the second part, we'll hear the Valkyries, and we will witness the forbidden love between Sigmund and Sieglinde, siblings separated at childhood. This tragic tale showcases Wagner's masterful use of the orchestra, which becomes a powerful medium for portraying their profound connection and emotion. As we reflect on these remarkable composers, it's important to recognize their impact on the evolution of opera. Both Giacomo Puccini and Richard Wagner played significant roles in shaping the genre, pushing boundaries, and captivating audiences in their distinct styles. Giacomo Puccini, the successor for Verdi, brought Italian Romantic opera to new heights as well, and he's going to be sort of the third composer that we take a look at. But we'll get more into that in the future. So for now, let's start to look at Romantic opera. During the 19th century, opera experienced a period of great success and creativity, often referred to as the Golden Age of opera. This artistic form thrived throughout Europe, including countries like Germany, France, Italy, Bohemia, and Russia as well. The popularity of opera during this time can be attributed to its close connection with two significant themes of the Romantic era. Firstly, the Romantic movement emphasized the breaking down of barriers between different art forms. Composers and audiences of the time embraced the idea of combining music with poetry, literature, and even philosophy. This fusion of artistic expression was seen as a natural and meaningful way to convey emotions and ideas. The emergence of the Lied, a German song that incorporated profound poetic elements, exemplified the Romantic commitment to unifying music and drama. Secondly, the Romantics celebrated music as the most profound of all the arts. Opera composers and librettists began to delve deeper into the meaning and messages conveyed through their works. They sought to create opera as a form of serious musical drama, moving beyond its previous perception primarily as a platform for song, spectacle, and entertainment. Richard Wagner, a renowned composer of the time, famously embraced and promoted this idea through his music dramas, as he called them, a term that he used to describe his operas. These works captivated audiences in the later part of the 19th century. However, Wagner was not alone in this pursuit. Similar attitudes were emerging all across Europe, even before Wagner gained recognition as a conductor. During this period, many operas drew inspiration from highly regarded Romantic novels. Renowned works by Sir Walter Scott, such as Ivanhoe, The Lady of the Lake, and The Bride of Lammermoor, served as subjects for numerous operas. Other operas took inspiration from Romantic poems and plays by influential figures like Lord Byron and Victor Hugo, who later penned Les Mis. Furthermore, as Romantic writers held a renewed approach for Shakespeare's plays, opera composers extensively adapted his works. Giuseppe Verdi, one of the prominent composers of the time, composed operatic versions of Shakespeare's tragedies Macbeth and Othello, as well as the comedy The Merry Wives of Windsor. In summary, the 19th century witnessed a flourishing period for opera, known as the Golden Age, which was fueled by the Romantic themes of breaking down artistic barriers and the elevation of music as a profound art form. Composers and librettists drew inspiration from Romantic novels, poems, and plays, as well as Shakespeare's works to create compelling and meaningful operatic experiences. What you see here in this picture on the screen is called the Wolf's Glen scene, and this is from Weber's opera Der Freischütz, most famous of early German Romantic operas. Giuseppe Verdi, the greatest composer of Italian opera, was a dominant figure in 19th century opera houses. While Richard Wagner's music dramas and opera theories generated much attention and excitement, it was Verdi's operas that received numerous performances and captured the hearts of audiences. Naturally, people were drawn to compare and contrast these two masters. The core of the comparison lies in Verdi's unwavering dedication to the human voice. He remained a loyal follower of the bel canto principles established by composers like Rossini or Donizetti or Bellini. Verdi never allowed the orchestra to overshadow the voice, and throughout his career, he demonstrated a remarkable talent for crafting both beautiful, romantic melodies and catchy tunes. Verdi viewed opera as a vocal art form, and this perspective resonated deeply with generations of opera lovers who share this enthusiasm. While Verdi's melodies have always held immense appeal to audiences, what he cared about most was the dramatic quality of his operas. Above all, Verdi was interested in portraying human characters placed in compelling situations that elicited strong and intense emotions. He sought out dramatic subjects filled with stirring action, and he possessed a genius for creating vocal melodies that perfectly captured the essence of these dramatic moments. Verdi's commitment to the dramatic aspect of opera set him apart. He skillfully constructed narratives that brought characters to life and provided a platform for the portrayal of intense emotions. Through his operas, Verdi invited audiences on a captivating journey where powerful actions and their emotional consequences unfolded right before your very eyes. Verdi's genius lay not only in his melodic prowess, but also in his ability to strike a balance between vocal beauty and dramatic impact. His operas offered a harmonious fusion of captivating melodies and theatrical intensity, capturing the hearts and imagination of both contemporary and subsequent generations. As an opera composer, Verdi remained steadfast in his commitment to the human voice. However, it would be incorrect to assume that the orchestra played a minor role in his works. On the contrary, the orchestra played a more significant and multifaceted role in Verdi's operas compared to those of his Italian predecessors. This development was a natural consequence of the orchestra's growing prominence in the music landscape of the 19th century. The expanded role of the orchestra was particularly evident in passages of recitative or near recitative. These sections were remnants of descendants of the recitatives found in Baroque opera seria and classical opera buffa. Italian opera still adhered to the traditional division between declamation, speaking, recitative, for the action and dialogue, and melody, or arias, for reflective and emotional expression, with ensembles encompassing both. However, in Verdi's operas, the orchestra accompanied all plot, action, and dialogue, unlike in Mozart's works, where recitatives were often accompanied solely by harpsichord. Verdi's orchestra, moreover, ventured beyond simple chords, embracing more active, motivic, and exciting music that enhanced the words and propelled the singers forward. The term recitative no longer adequately describes his action-oriented music in Verdi's operas, even though no other term has emerged. Highly melodramatic in nature, it consistently teeters on the brink of transforming into fully fledged melodic passages. What distinguishes this music from actual arias is that arias are formally complete and distinct in contrast. Passages of Verdian recitative cannot be easily separated and performed independently, unlike Verdian arias, which can often be extracted and performed as standalone concert pieces. In arias and duets, the orchestra's role assumes a smaller dimension. However, Verdi harnesses another resource of the Romantic era by utilizing rich harmonies that underpin melodic high points and climaxes. Many of his arias, although not all, could be described as simple strophic songs in his exuberant style of romantic melody. Some of his most famous and enduring compositions consist of timeless tunes such as the choral hymn Va Pensiero from Nabucco, the soprano aria Addio del Passato from La Traviata, and the tenor aria Celeste Aida from Aida. Romantic opera emerged in the 1820s, following the end of the Viennese classical period. Interestingly, the birthplace of Romantic opera was not Vienna, the heartland of classical music. In fact, both Beethoven and Schubert felt threatened by the popularity of the operas of Gioacchino Rossini, a young Italian composer whose meteoric career left a lasting impression across Europe. Rossini, who was born in 1792 and died in 1868, is best known today for his crisp and elegant opera buffa, which bears some resemblance to Mozart's work. Among his notable compositions is the timeless masterpiece, The Barber of Seville. Interestingly, the overtures to these operas, which are more often performed as standalone concert pieces, are written in sonata form, a hallmark of the classical era. However, in his own time, Rossini was equally admired for his serious operas, which played a significant role in defining the style and form of Italian Romantic opera. This genre is sometimes referred to as bel canto opera, as it glorifies beautiful singing. Bel canto literally translates to beautiful song. Rossini's operas served as models of romantic emotional melodic expression, featuring notable examples like Desdemona's Willow Song from his Shakespearean opera Otello. These operas also showcase coloratura arias, which were designed to showcase the extraordinary vocal abilities of the legendary virtuoso singers of that era. To everyone's surprise, Rossini made the decision to retire from opera in 1829 after the success of his magnum opus, William Tell. Gaetano Donizetti, who was born in 1797 and died in 1848, emerged as the dominant figure in Italian bel canto after Rossini's sudden retirement. He pursued a more direct path, focusing on simple, sentimental arias and dramatic action music. Remarkably prolific, Donizetti composed over 60 operas within his short lifetime. Among his most famous were works like Lucia di Lammermoor, based on the historical novel by Sir Walter Scott, and Don Pasquale, a late example of opera buffa. In the 1970s, the renowned American soprano Beverly Sills starred in a Donizetti trilogy portraying famous queens from English history, including Anna Bolena, or Anne Boleyn, Maria Stuarda, Mary Stuart, and Roberto Devereux, about Queen Elizabeth I and Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex. Vincenzo Bellini, born in 1801, dying in 1835, in comparison to his contemporaries, is often regarded as the most refined of the early bel canto composers. He composed significantly fewer operas than Rossini or Donizetti, but his arias possess a unique romantic allure. His finest work, Norma, presents significant challenges to sopranos, demanding highly expressive singing, agile coloratura passages, and exceptional acting skills. Verdi expressed his admiration for Bellini's supremely melodious compositions, although he drew more inspiration from the robust and dramatic styles of Donizetti. Carl Maria von Weber, born in 1786, can be considered the pioneer of German Romantic opera. His most important work, Der Freischütz, translates to The Magic Bullet, possesses the qualities of a German folktale or ballad set to music. The story revolves around Max, a driven young huntsman who sells his soul to the devil in exchange for 7 magic bullets, but is ultimately redeemed through the sacrifice of his innocent fiancée, Agatha. 2 spiritual arias sung by Agatha in the opera exemplify romantic melody at its finest. The opera also features German choruses with a folk song-like character. Notably, a famous scene depicting a devilish conjuration showcases sensational orchestral writing accompanied by eerie harmonics. Legendary singers of this bel canto era included Pauline Viardot. She was also a composer. Maria Malibran and Giulia Grisi, along with a playbill here we can see for one of their favorite showcases, the opera Norma by Vincenzo Bellini. So here we're going to get a little bit into Rigoletto. Verdi's choice to adapt the story of Rigoletto for opera was a bold and daring move, reflecting his penchant for dramatic subjects filled with intense situations and powerful emotions. The inspiration for this opera came from a play called Le Roi s'amuse, or The King Amuses Himself, written by the prominent figure of French Romanticism, Victor Hugo. However, Hugo's play caused a scandal in Paris in 1832 due to its depiction of a dissolute and promiscuous king, as well as a jester who plots to assassinate him. Consequently, the play was shut down by authorities just after one performance. When Verdi decided to base his opera on this controversial material, he faced significant challenges from the Italian censors who meticulously scrutinized every operatic project at the time. The censors demanded numerous modifications to the storyline. In their insistence, they demoted the king to a mere duke, seemingly believing that this alteration would make his immoral behavior less offensive. Despite the alteration, Rigoletto premiered to immediate success and has since become one of the most frequently performed operas in the repertoire. Verdi's ability to navigate and transcend the restrictions imposed by the censors while maintaining the essence of Hugo's provocative narrative is a testament to his genius as an opera composer. Rigoletto continues to captivate audiences with its compelling story and emotionally charged music, showcasing Verdi's masterful handling of intense and controversial subject matter. So the story of Rigoletto unfolds in the vibrant setting of 16th century Mantua, Italy, at the court where Rigoletto serves as the hunchback jester to the Duke. Rigoletto is a complex character torn between his cynical contempt for the courtiers and his unwavering loyalty and love for his daughter, Gilda, whom he keeps hidden from the world. However, the immoral and charming Duke becomes aware of Gilda's existence and sets his sights on adding her to his long list of conquests. Verdi's portrayal of the Duke of Mantua draws clear inspiration from Mozart's infamous Don Giovanni. As the plot unfolds, the Duke manages to seduce Gilda through a series of events that are not detailed here. Gilda innocently and genuinely falls in love with him, believing that he reciprocates her feelings as a humble student. Meanwhile, Rigoletto is consumed by thoughts of revenge. He hires an assassin named Sparafucile who possesses a mix of comicality and menacing presence to lead the Duke to his dilapidated inn located on the outskirts of the marshes of Mantua. Sparafucile, aided by his sister Maddalena, carries out Rigoletto's plan. In the context of 19th century operatic tragedy, the outcome for Gilda and her father can only be tragic. The events reach their climax in the final act, where Rigoletto brings Gilda to Sparafucile's dwelling to witness the Duke's true nature. The scene is divided into different locations. The Duke and Maddalena inside the house, Rigoletto and Gilda eavesdropping from outside through a crack in the wall, and Sparafucile moving between them. Although father and daughter sing to each other, their voices remain unheard by those inside of the house. The tension builds as the audience is left to anticipate the tragic fate that awaits poor Gilda and her father in the gripping conclusion of the opera. What we see here on the screen, we can see Rigoletto and Gilda outside of the house the Duke and Madalena inside of the house. Two images of the quartet, one from Verdi's day, obviously that's the illustration, and another one being a modern depiction of sort of how they would make this happen. Before we get to the music, a little bit about Verdi. So Verdi was born in a small village in northern Italy and had a modest upbringing and received an incomplete education. He displayed his musical talents by playing the church organ and conducting the local town band. Recognizing his potential, a merchant named Antonio Barezzi became Verdi's patron and sent him to Milan to study music. Milan's renowned opera house, named La Scala, still there today, was the epicenter of Italian musical life at the time. After facing initial setbacks in Milan, Verdi achieved a resounding success at the age of 29 with his biblical opera Nabucco. Over the next decade, he composed operas at a remarkable pace for theaters in Italy, Paris, and London as well. Three of his early works from the 50s, Rigoletto, Il Trovatore, and La Traviata, remain among his most popular and enduring creations. Verdi's later operas displayed increased depth and complexity as he dedicated more time to their composition. During his youth, Italy was not yet a unified nation. He passionately supported the Risorgimento, the Italian liberation movement, and many of his early operas carried patriotic themes. The most beloved piece from Nabucco was a nostalgic hymn sung by Hebrew slaves, which symbolized the Italian people's yearning for independence from the Austrian Empire. In 1848, the year of revolution, Verdi composed the stirring opera The Battle of Legnano. The letters of his name, Verdi, became a rallying cry and acronym for Vittoria Emanuela da Re d'Italia, Victor Emmanuel, King of Italy, signifying the popular desire for a unified Italy. After Italy achieved independence, Verdi was appointed an honorary deputy in the country's first parliament. Verdi was known for his stern demeanor and shrewd business sense. He negotiated tough deals with opera impresarios, exerted authority over his librettists, and closely supervised the production of his operas. Following the premiere of Aida in 1871, which solidified his international fame, Verdi retired to a beautiful country estate near his birthplace. During his later years, he devoted himself to hunting and raising livestock. However, he was persuaded to come out of retirement in the 1880s by his astute publisher and the eminent librettist Arrigo Boito. In his 70s, Verdi collaborated with Boito on his two greatest operas inspired by Shakespeare, the tragedy Otello and comedy Falstaff. Verdi's experienced personal tragedy early in his life when he was first married to daughter of his patron Barezzi ended with the death of his wife and two young children within a span of 2 years. The emotional wounds from his loss stayed with him throughout his life, and it is speculated that his operas, including Rigoletto, which feature poignant father-daughter relationships, served as an outlet for his feeling about fatherhood. Verdi later married Giuseppina Strepponi, a remarkable singer who had supported him during his early career and starred in his first major success, Nabucco. They had been partners for many years prior to their marriage as well. At the time of Verdi's death at the age of 88, he had become a national treasure and was mourned across Italy. Schools were closed, and a special session of the Senate in Rome delivered eulogies in his honor. Nearly 300,000 people attended his funeral procession, and Verdi's operas continue to be the most beloved and frequently performed in the international opera repertoire. In Act 3 of the opera Rigoletto, the scene unfolds with the Duke bursting into Sparafucile's inn disguised as a military officer. Gilda recognizes him and her lover and expresses her dismay. The Duke then sings his famous aria, La Donna è Immobile, where he reflects on the fickleness of women. This aria is characterized by its energetic and repetitive melody, which has become one of Verdi's most recognizable tunes. After the aria, instead of pausing for applause, Verdi keeps the orchestra moving and incorporates the melody of La Donna e Mobile into the woodwinds as Sparafucile confirms that the Duke is the man Rigoletto wants to be killed. This clever touch gives a sinister undertone of the aria's melody, transforming it into an accompaniment for a quick recitative exchange. Following Sparafucile's exit, a quartet ensues involving Rigoletto and Gilda outside and the Duke and Maddalena inside. The quartet, titled Bella Figlia dell'Amore, begins with a fast section where the Duke pursues Maddalena, and she playfully resists his advances. Outside, Gilda is horrified by the situation. The recitative-like exchanges between the characters are sung to a lively orchestra melody, blurring the lines between recitative and fully developed melody. The quartet reaches a climax as all four singers join together on a loud, extended chord. It then transitions into an andante section where the Duke takes the lead, continuing his pursuit of Maddalena with suave melodies. The other voices gradually join in, each singing in distant melody that reflects their emotions. Maddalena laughing, Gilda sobbing, and Rigoletto displaying determination for revenge. Verdi masterfully combines these melodies, allowing each voice to maintain its individual emotional stance while creating a rich and dramatic harmonies. The andante section concludes with a long passage sung by all four voices following this lush quartet. The mood shifts dramatically as Rigoletto delivers a stark and brusque recitative. In this recitative, Rigoletto instructs his daughter to go to Verona, promising to follow her. Verdi deliberately omits the orchestra, enhancing the contrast between the quartet and this intense moment of dialogue between Rigoletto and Gilda. Alas, Gilda does not obey her father's instructions. She returns to the scene and is murdered in place of the Duke during a climactic thunderstorm. Rigoletto comes to gloat over the dead Duke, but finds instead his daughter dying. He is left maddened with grief as the curtain falls. So let's have a listen to Act 3, Scene 1 from Giuseppe Verdi's Rigoletto.
Quali? Tua sorella e del vino. Questi suoi costumi. Oi del Serpino. felici al pieno, chi su quel seno non lima amore, la donna e il bambino, addio veramente, la bella mano candida,
pensate voi, signore,
non ho
son tutta
affronti, al tempo,
non indifferente, e piace canzonare,
non ti ho scusato, amami la figliuola, non ti basta ancora, amami la figliuola, bella figlia dell'amore, schiavo son de vezzi tuoi, ma non detto solto le mie pene consolar. Vieni e senti del mio cuore il frequente palpitar con un detto suono le mie pene consolar.
Padri non venditori, che poi costan poco. Quanto vale il vostro giugo, me credete so apprezzare.
Il piangere non va. Dio